views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Straight ahead on this edition of Perspectives, the effects of the coronavirus and its impact are still far-reaching, particularly when it comes to the area of businesses and small businesses. How are small businesses navigating through COVID-19, especially with the fact that the stimulus package and when business may possibly reopen? That's coming front and center on this edition of Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime.
What's on your mind? Express what's on your mind. What's on your mind?
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, just speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference in someone's life. Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let them know.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime. Of course, we want to thank you for joining us. As always, you can watch Perspectives every week here on Bronx. That's channel 67. If you have Verizon Fios, that would be channel 33, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. And we got a very special show. We want you to stay connected to us. And you can also stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet Television. Well, the topic of discussion, of course, what everybody's talking about across New York City, across the United States, and the world, navigating COVID-19. But specifically right here in our borough, we're really concerned about a lot of things. But one of them that comes to the forefront is small business. Small business is the lifeblood of America. And with that said, we've got to ask the question about how is small business navigating in our borough, across New York City, and even up in Westchester County, and what's going on in the future. We heard about those stimulus payments and the payouts. How much actually made it to our area? So here to share a little bit with us is somebody who's a very special guest for us here on Perspectives. We've had him before. We're pleased to have Clarence Stanley sharing with us. For those of you who don't know, he's the director of the Small Business Development Center in Lehman College. Also, not just there, he's also a member of the board of directors at the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, better known as the BOEDC. And our friend and brother joins us one more time, coming to us virtually, and there is nothing that separates us from being connected. And good to have you, Clarence.
Thank you so much for having me, Daren. This is a new era. This is a new period. Things that are happening right now. We were working on some of these things in the past, but now it's been accelerated. Now we know we need this is the new era, and we've got to get our folks ready for this new era.
Yeah, we talked about, we hear people say all the time about let's go back to normal. And there will be no normal. There'll be new normals. But looking at COVID-19 and its impact on small businesses, I know you've got boots on the ground dealing with small businesses in our area. How are they navigating in the wake of all of this?
This has been a quite difficult period. You take a look at the various industries. You take your beauty salons. They had to shut down. You talk about your restaurants. And some of these businesses, Daren, working on small profit margins to begin with. So when you get a setback, someone can say, well, what would happen if I shut down for a month or 2 months or 3 months? What happens? Well, if they're on a small profit margin, they could virtually be out of business. And so as I counsel my clients, I talk to the businesses, just as we do our own personal financial planning as an individual. I said, well, you need to have a reserve of funds, have about 3 months of income of financial needs set aside. And I asked my business owners to have some working capital set aside. Set aside 2 to 3 months of working capital if you can. And so when you have a crisis, now we've never seen anything like this before. We had Hurricane Sandy. We've had a few things. And yeah, we were set back for a while, but this is a national crisis. We don't know when it's going to end. But what's happening though on Main Street America was changing before this all happened. You bring Amazon. Amazon has changed the whole outlook for the retail segment. I got all the businesses on Fordham Road. Fordham Road is one of the most heavily traveled corridors in the country. There are over 600 businesses on Fordham Road, those retail stores. You go down to the Bronx Hub, down on Southern Boulevard, on 149th Street, and you got several thousand businesses in the Bronx that needed to change before this all happened. Everything is now going online. Everything is going virtual, and it's kind of changed. So this kind of accelerated what needed to happen. Unfortunately, it came around within a 2 or 3 month period. So it's had an economic impact, but it's also brought out what really needs to happen right now. My big concern right now is that we hope that folks can survive. Those beauty salons, those restaurants at Hunts Point, the Hunts Point Food Market. I got clients in the Hunts Point Food Market. That's one of the biggest wholesale distribution points in the United States that distribute food to the restaurants, to the hotels. We got one that distributes food to the cruise industry. Now the cruise lines are no longer functioning. The airlines, and so now you got. So this is really a difficult period for these businesses. So our challenge right now is how to reinvent yourselves. That's not that easy to say, but how do you deal with this crisis? And when you come out, how are you going to look? How's your business going to be structured?
Right.
And we're going to deal with that.
Are a lot of businesses equipped to handle making these adjustments for social distancing practices? Because we talk about, having to have proper PPE, also spacing, right? So when restaurants, if for instance, begin to open up, and we know that may be some time away, but for other businesses, making that adjustment to be COVID ready,
right,
is a financial impact of itself. I mean, I was talking with a person, and they were talking about we have to buy now hand sanitizer, and some of the hand sanitizers are going for like $216 for like 6 whole gallons. So
right.
It's also that economic impact. Talk to us about what you're hearing and what you're really giving in terms of advice to those businesses, or in terms of staying ahead of this.
The biggest thing, I think, one of the things that's critical is that as we're going through change, and businesses need to do this, is put together the right kind of a team around you. Surround yourself with a real team. A team, we have these mentors, and of course, the Small Business Development Center, we have certified business advisors. Then we've got our other partners that SCORE, retired executives, that have mentors, and everything. All these services are free. We've got the Women's Business Resource Center. These under the SBA, we got the Small Business Administration programs. You got SCORE, the BOEDC, the SBDC, Women's Business Center, and then you begin to surround yourself to make sure you've got yourself a good accountant. Make sure you got yourself a good tax professional. You've got an attorney that you can depend on. Surround yourself, make up a team, even if you don't have the resources directly. Join your chamber of commerce and talk to your chamber and start networking, and surround yourself with folks that can give you good advice. What we've got at Lehman is we've got these at the School of Continuing Professional Studies. We've got the small business consulting practice. We've got interns that we train. We put them through a training program, and then we have the interns work directly with the business owners. We offer this service at Lehman, and we said, look, we've got these interns. You got to now bring your business up to scale. What you need to do now is you need technology in your business. I get a business owner that's I'm not tech savvy. Well, guess what? A lot of us are not tech savvy, but this is a new era where technology is kicking in. You got to have point of sale. So I talked to some businesses. Okay, let's surround yourself with a good team. Look for the guys who SCORE. There are plenty of organizations. We have this thing called the Bronx Business Alliance. We've got a group of businesses, a consortium rather, of consisting of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, SOBRO, South Bronx Overall Economic Development, BOEDC, the Fordham Road bid. There are various bids throughout the Bronx. And so once you start to network with these folks and start networking, and because you'll find that in these associations, we've all got a lot in common. So I said, okay, when we sit down, even the Mark Jonai, the councilman, Mark Jonai, the head of small business, he's on the small business committee for the. You talked to Mark Jonai about they had these roundtables and asking businesses what do they need, do a needs assessment, and then you sit down. I think the big thing right now, Lauren, is to Darren, is to have surround yourself with a good team. And even if, as you recall, I told you I'm a banker. I was retired from Citibank. I worked there almost 30 years there. And if you get a bank, and I see this term, they're bankers and they're bankers.
Yeah, right.
And you got to talk to a bank that really has an interest in you and your business. They got to call on the bank. When someone says to me, if you have a relationship, you say, I'm going to go to the bank.
Yeah.
Are you going to say, but I'm going to go to my bank, because my banker looks out for you, my doctor looks out for you, my lawyer looks out for you, not the lawyer. So get that person that's in and that's going to support you.
Let me jump in here and take a quick break because I want to talk about that support. Because one of the things that we're talking about support is government support and that PPP program and how many Bronx businesses were actually service through that. So we're gonna take a quick break. Come back, talk more with Clarence Stanley. When we return, we'll be back with more here on Perspectives. We'll come right back right after this. And welcome back here to Perspectives. Daren Jaime here with you, sharing with you, bringing you news, information, and the things that you need to know, particularly here in our borough. And we're so glad to have Clarence Stanley sharing with us here, Director of Small Business Development Center at Lehman College, also a board member of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, better known as the BOEDC. Really a person with boots on the ground, trying to help small businesses be able to navigate. And that was his job, all along. But now that COVID-19 has come up, definitely more intense. The needs continue to grow, and the questions still remain unanswered. And so, Clarence, before the break, I was sharing with you a little bit about assistance. We talked about the PPP program, and we know that was a government program.
Right.
And as much as Americans were looking forward to that stimulus of $1,200, there were businesses that were looking for PPP. And we've heard that when it came to businesses, particularly small businesses, a lot of people were left out from the PPP allocations. What have you been hearing from your businesses that you've been able to talk about? Okay,
it's a good question. And and I agree with you 100%. What happened initially, I'll talk about this in phases. The PPP program came out initially. The way the federal government structured it, we had the first part was the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which had happened first. And that was one where you applied directly to the Small Business Administration. They did everything online. So the client went directly to the SBA if they could get through. When they got through and put the applications online, there was some glitches in it because this system was overwhelmed. That's the EIDL program. But that worked. Because you did the application yourself. Then the second part was the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program. That was very disappointing initially because the first round, it was round one, there was several $1 billion put out, and that went through not through the SBA directly, but that was handled by the bankers, the SBA lenders that did it directly. So it was what they were doing initially were just working directly with their clients. You had to have an existing relationship. Now, part of the reason, I'm not going to defend the banks because I'm a little upset the way they went down the first time. But what they were doing is the banks have a certain amount of due diligence. That is, if you give a loan to someone, it's a good idea to know who that client is. Now, the loans are guaranteed by the Small Business Administration, by the Fed rather. And so there wasn't a whole lot of risk for the bank. However, the bank had to do their due diligence to make sure they were doing the right thing. But on the other side of the coin, I think the banks were looking to take care of their clients first. Right. So when it was first released, the system was so overwhelmed that the system crashed. But as it began to work, the Citibanks, the Chases, the JP, the Bank of America, the larger banks took care of their large existing clients first, and the money ran out. So the little guys, my guys in the Bronx, the Bronx has a very interesting dynamic. When they said that people of color weren't served properly, well, that could be an issue. Uh, I think it was just where the target where the community was. The Bronx, as you know, was 85% minorities,
Right.
between Latinos, Hispanics, and African and blacks. And we're not the big guys. We have a lot of mom and pop stores. We have a lot of operators. We have thousands of businesses in the Bronx. So it's till round one, and it came out, and we made it clear that it wasn't handled properly. So then round two happened about 3 weeks ago. And round two said they were going to target the smaller businesses. They were going to work through the CDFIs, which are the community the development funds. The CDFIs are a little different. The money was being funneled not through the major banks, but now you're starting to funnel the money through the CDFIs, which has a relationship with the community. And you had even BOEDC had gotten some money to lend out directly. So what happened then, we said, okay, let's go from the non-traditional lenders to go to the lenders that are dealing with the community, kind of the community-based banks. And so phase two had better results. Now, we're just now starting to see some clients get approved in this phase two. I call it phase two. Now, I just heard this morning we've got several $1 billion still available to go to the PPP. So it didn't work in phase one. Phase two had better results because we had other resources. And it's clear. I think it's important, Daren, that we talk to the clients, to our constituents, is that they need to talk to our partners, talk to your community-based organizations, talk to BOEDC, talk to the chamber, talk to the various organizations, and find out who the lenders are. You may not have a handle on what resources are available, but you can talk to all the folks that you talk to and find out who's lending. The big question I asked the guy, I said, before I put this application in with your bank, let's not waste any time, because there's a time factor here. With the PPP program, you got 2.5 months to get that done. So you don't want to waste time. Yes, the loan is forgiven. It's a wonderful program, but it has a lot of glitches. So you just need to find out where the buckets are, who's lending. For example, Spring Bank, and give them a shout out. Spring Bank has done a good job, which is a CDFI. You got True Fund. You got BOC, the Business Outreach Center. You got all these lenders that are out there that are available to help out. So lots of programs out there. You just need to be in touch with the right people. Of course, the Small Business Development Center. We've got our finger on the pulse. We know who's doing what. And me being a banker, I can talk bankees and talk to the bankers about here's our client has a special need. We even come up with a loan program right now for the beauty salons. There's big challenge right now. The beauty salon wants to put in their sole proprietor. Does a sole proprietor qualify for a loan? The answer is yes, they do. They're the one employee. They're going to get the loan if it's done properly. The application is kind of daunting, but we help them navigate the process. All of our partners do.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to know that the struggle in terms of just getting it across the finish line and the results that came out of it. But we do know that you're a person that can get it done. As a matter of fact, we got to give you a special congratulations. I understand January 7th was also known as Clarence Stanley Day in Westchester County. And that's got to be a great accomplishment for you to have your own day in Westchester County. I know a little bit about that.
What happens is that I retired some years ago, and I started, let me start working here. And what's my satisfaction? My satisfaction is seeing folks get taken care of. Seeing my people, not just the small business owners, and not just in any particular segment, but making sure our business owners are taken care of. And when someone says, "Hey, thank you very much," that's a big reward for me. I was working with for example, I work with organizations, the African American Women in Cinema. This is a group that's having difficulty getting started. And we put in, they got a small loan, but we helped them with Lehman has a lot of resources at Lehman College. We get broken down into two areas. I'm in the area of economic development. But guess what? The college is in the area of economic development as well as workforce development and education. So you two together. If someone needs assistance, Well, guess what? They can come to Lehman College. They can go to continuing education and take some courses. Uh, they can come to some of our workshops and seminars, which is free. And so you got a nice mix here. So when you start talking to clients what their needs are, well, I've got clients that come in, and I ask clients to be careful of getting taken advantage of. Someone to come in and say they provide you with services and charge you loan shark counter rates. We want to protect for things like that to make sure that they're getting the right kind of service. To make sure we got the legal assistance, we got the Legal Aid Society, we got the volunteers, VOLs, we got Start Small, Think Big that provide you with legal services. And there a big concern here is folks that are somewhat maybe they want to use the word undocumented, but that's gotten to have a negative connotation. They shouldn't.
Right.
But they're undocumented because the paperwork is backed up. But these are business owners and entrepreneurs that are paying taxes, and they're making a difference. They're creating jobs, and guess what? We try to make them bankable, and they are bankable for the most part. So trying to when someone says I'm having a problem getting something done, I can't get my business started, I'm having legal issues, and we can come in and help them. And at the end of the day, the guy says, "I'll give you a call." I said, "I got a call the other day from someone text thanking me very much for something I've done for them, and that their business is whole again." I didn't even know who that person was. I said, it was text. I said, "Well, I'm glad I was able to help you. Would you mind telling me who you are?" And then they sent a text, and they sent me a text back. So I'm so and so. I said, "Wow." Yeah, we had a conversation. I never met the person. We had a half an hour conversation, and it solved the problem. That thank you was worth $1 million to me.
And it's awesome that you're able to do that. Clarence Stanley, our guest here on Perspectives. Got to take a quick break, talking a little bit more about the assistance. If you need assistance, if Lehman is still available, we'll find out about that when we return right here on Perspectives. Here on Perspectives, our guest here is Clarence Stanley. And if you're just joining us, talking about how Bronx businesses and business overall in our borough is really navigating amidst the COVID-19 crisis. A lot of people are concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to open their doors again. Those businesses that have their doors open are wondering, will they shut? Because there is also the talk and the potential of possibly a second wave. And so we're continuing to keep our eyes focused on that. And Clarence, first of all, I asked you before the break, let me just jump in before we get into the other question about Lehman and the opportunity to get some help for your business during this time in the season. I know Lehman's doors are closed as a campus, but is the small business center still available?
Yes, thank you, Daren. Yes, we're working virtual. I think I've been home since March. I've been 8 weeks in this house, and guess what? I've been. You may have heard this from other folks. I'm working harder now than when I went in the office. It's like we gotten virtual. I gotten pretty good at it. I'm fortunate that I got the folks in the house that can help me. My daughter's here also. She's working from home, and so she's a tech savvy person. So she's helped me get through some things. My staff is all working remote, and I've actually got about 100 applications, Aaron, for loans in this last 4 weeks. Loans and just different things from loans to people trying to get government contracts. There's a lot of contracts out there right now. The contract like the MTA to clean the trains. I got one guy. I don't know if you talked to Mr. James Peterson, the gentleman that got the food, the catering service. He's serving 10,000 meals a day. Got a contract for the homeless and the people that are having problems with food and food insecurity in New York, not just the Bronx. So you got this has been a different period. Now, Lehman College, we're working, we're remote. I'm not sure when we're going to come back. Even the SBA in general, all of my partners, the Small Business Administration, at one time we weren't allowed to work from home, but now they're saying, well, this becomes the new reality.
Right.
The new reality. And if I go back to the office, how am I going to maintain that social distance? If I go back to the office and the president, Dr. Lemons, has been talking about when we do come back to the campus, how are we going to position ourselves? Are we going to be able to have everyone come to the campus at the same time? In my office in Common Hall here, um, there's several employees, and can we maintain distance between the employees as we bring students in, as we bring clients in to talk to them? Will it be enough space? And I'm thinking as I come back and say, well, if I were to make a plan right now, my plan would be that we're going to do things more virtual than more face to face. I think virtual, Daren, is the new reality, and that's
Yeah, I know.
happening.
It is the new reality. I'm going to cut
Yeah,
you off. It is the new reality. And I
yeah,
think it's something that going to have to adapt to. But I
yeah.
think also, the question is going to be, how are we going to line small businesses up who aren't technologically savvy, who may not have the tech infrastructure, who are already challenged just to open their doors, and now you're telling them to go to a different form of technology to be
Yep.
able to exist. How's that going to play out? And are they going to have the financial resources? I think that's a big question that has to be answered.
The financial resources are critical. I have a meeting next week with the dean, and it's funny we just brought this up because we talked about this right now. We're going to run a series of training events, and it's not classes, and just talk about how to get to how to begin to navigate the system. I guess you got to go through the associations. I'm doing an event with the organization called the New York Hispanic Cosmetology Chamber. Online, they say, well, we need to be able to Zoom. Everybody got a cell phone. Is there a way that I can get out to show you how to set up a system where you begin to communicate virtually? We're going to offer a series of classes, not long classes, like half an hour, 1 hour, and talk to folks about how to communicate with the customers, communicate with your constituents. And going to the next step is how do you begin to sell products online? I've got a couple of clients that went from a retail store, then we got the students actually set up a website for them, and then they showed them how to do business online. All of a sudden, this person that couldn't do business, that was unable to do business before, has now she said she's overwhelmed now with business. So now I got another problem. She said, okay, I was doing things in the store, now I'm doing things from home. So now I got to I got to reinvent myself. So as you begin to come back, the beauty salons and folks that do things physically don't have a choice. They do have to go as hands-on. That you can't change. You just have to be able to protect yourself. The retail stores, you talk to some of the big guys are closing.
Right.
About, Neiman Marcus is going out of business, and you talk about some large stores, but the little guy had to find a way to get clients in the door. How do you get clients into? How do you set up the retail store where the customers are going to be comfortable? Now, I guess the question too is the big issue: how long is this going to last? Is this a short-term phenomenon? Are we going to have phase 2 of the virus? Will it come back? Will we have a cure, not a cure, but some way a treatment that folks can get? Are we going to come back in September? We're going to come back in January? God, I hope it doesn't last that long. But if we can come back, and I think some folks can survive through this season, maybe get to August or September, and get back on their feet to get going again. Don't want to rush things, but how long is it going to last?
Yeah.
But I guess the key right now to be prepared to reinvent yourself, be prepared to surround yourself with folks that can give you the support and the technical assistance that you need. And there are a lot of programs out there. You just have to find them. And guess what? Sometimes you can get your grandkid to help you out when you want to get on your phone.
See, that's it. That's it. And listen, I know you got some technical assistance where you are. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
But I think that we all need it, and we're going to navigate through it. And most of all, we're going to make it through it. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time and sharing with us here on Perspectives, giving us your perspective on small businesses. Got to bring you back because we definitely want to see what kind of progress is being made. And if we have to highlight some challenges, we'll have to do that too as well. So that way people can basically get the best possible services that they need for a time such as this. But Clarence Stanley, thank you so much for being with us here on Perspectives.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, listen. All righty. Thank you. And listen, we want to thank you for watching here on Perspectives. That about wraps it up for this edition. I am Daren Jaime. And for all of us on the Set of Perspectives, Curlew, Lindsay, the rest of our team who continue to bring you this show virtually, want to say thank you. Take care. God bless. Make sure you share your perspective with somebody else. It just might make a difference in someone else's life. Be good.